Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. Today we have a friend and a colleague that actually, she is amazing. What does she do? Let me just tell you a little bit more before I even tell you even her name. Well, she's a self-love alchemist. She's a mindset transformation coach based in Canberra, Australia. She empowers a professional woman to overcome imposter syndrome, self-doubt, and limiting beliefs through her BESTT, Best System Empowerment Self-Love Transformation to Thrive. She's an NLP master coach, relationship coach, hypnotherapist, emotional fitness specialist, and energy healer. Alyson blends the practical and holistic tools to support deep inner change. I was so lucky to have a session with her, and oh my gosh, she made me realize what are the things I was doing to myself. You see, it doesn't matter you're a coach or you're a healer. I am a master NLP, and I was not realizing that I was doing that to myself until I went to a meeting with Alyson. I was feeling off, but I did not know where it was coming. But she made me realize where it was coming from. Alyson, I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for your being here in Soul Talk. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure, Monica. And that's why we say coaches need coaches, because one of the really insightful comments that a friend of mine shared is that you can't see the label from inside the jar. So we cannot see, what's happening within us because we're sitting in it, which is why we need another coach to be able to pull it out. And the other thing too, someone else can call us on our BS, right? On
Yes.
our stories that we tell ourselves and our excuses. So this is why we do need people to help each other.
And that is so true. We have so many stories that we're telling to ourselves, we continue repeating ourselves,
Yeah.
that we're so used to it, that having a coach that is working in this level, it is going to see that the stories that we're telling to ourselves, just exactly as you did to me. So thank you so. Alyson, I know this is your first time in Soul Talk, so I would like to ask you what it took you to be here where you are, because I know the story of all of us, the people that we're trying to help other people. We have a story behind that make us go where we are now.
Yeah.
So what is yours?
Well, Monica, as we were saying in one of our earlier conversations, I was very lucky to be the youngest of five. I was a daddy's girl. I was spoiled. I was, money wasn't a problem. And so I had a really lovely childhood and I had a really lovely, upbringing. And I moved from India to Australia. I'm Anglo-Indian. So we moved to Australia when I was 12. So I grew up in Australia and I had all these parts of me, my identity. I was very strong. I was very much an Anglo-Indian, and I was very confident and comfortable in that. I then came to Australia, and then I became an Aussie, and I'm very, very much a proud Aussie. So my whole sense of self has always been very, very strong. And that's been both a good thing and a bad thing. People often would sort of criticize me or call me names, the B word that we use for women, because I'd stand up for myself. But I was brought up like that. So this is who I was, and proud to be who I was. So I got married, finally had some children, came to Canberra, which is the capital of Australia, and Canberra is a government town. So that's all sort of government work and what have you. And I finally left teaching, which is my original training, and became a public servant. And married for 25 years. And the marriage was good, particularly at the start. But then, of course, as marriages go, you know, things sort of happen. And there were some things, my husband had been married before, and some of the things his first wife used to do was very much was used to, erode at our marriage. But we kind of patched that up. But over the years, again, we grew apart from each other, as you do. So while all of this was happening in my personal life, in my business life, I had a new boss, and it turned out he was a really horrible man. And while he was there, he'd only been with us a short time, and he was causing a lot of issues in the workplace. And I'm the kind of person, as I said, because I was brought up to be, very confident in myself and speak my mind. I'm the kind of person, no one will ever die wondering what I think, because I will tell you. And especially with relationships, I would say, hey, Monica, this is not working. Let's have a chat, right? Anyway, I wasn't comfortable to talk to this new boss because I didn't trust him. He hadn't done my report yet, and I didn't trust that he wouldn't use that against me in my report because still he came there. All my reports had been great. Anyway, this kind of stress that was happening in the workplace was eating away at me because I couldn't speak it out. So finally, it ended up being in my body, and I ended up woke up in the middle of the night and I couldn't move my left side. In fact, I couldn't even stand up from the bed. And then it turned out that my left side, I had paralysis of my arm. Anyway, so we went to see doctors and what have you, and I didn't have a diagnosis for 3 months. So that made me very anxious, very concerned. I didn't know if I was going to live or die. I'd already planned my funeral. My imagination was running riot. Anyway, so all of this sort of my whole life fell on my head. And as I said, I became very withdrawn, very anxious, all that kind of stuff. And in the middle of all this, my husband of 25 years said he was leaving. He said, I'll see you till the end of your illness and then I'm out of here. Well, I knew the marriage hadn't been going well for the last few years. I always thought we'd find our way back to each other. When the kids were out of the house, when we retired or whatever. And I was 53. Suddenly my whole life fell on my head. For me, security is really important. So we had no debts, no mortgage. I thought, oh my God, I'm 53. To have my own house, I'm going to have a mortgage. How am I going to pay that for myself? My kids were teenagers, older teenagers, but they were still dependent. And I knew my ex-husband would help. And I thought, again, how am I going to help bring these kids up with what they need for university and all that kind of stuff? So I had huge anxiety and huge uncertainty. So that just added to everything I was going through. Anyway, finally, because I had this strong grounding in who I was, I realized I want to get back to that girl. I want to get back to that woman. That's who I really am. What I'm in now is a shell. And I then went into personal development because I've always loved personal development. And it was with a coaching school. And I signed up. I got all my own stuff sorted out. And I thought, this is really what I want to do to help other women. And the women I've come across in my life personally, my best friend for many years, colleagues, and women that I was networking with, and women I was coaching, even at pro bono level. So many of these women had such really sad childhoods and had really sad lives where no one had seemed to love them or care them or say they were important. And I thought, how lucky am I that I've had that? That saw me through. And I thought, you know what? I can do this for other women. Now, I believe that validation only comes from ourselves. No one else should validate you because you're giving away your power.
Yes.
But I also know that if you haven't been there, it's really hard to get there. And the reason I felt as good about myself as I did is because someone else told me I was valuable. My dad and my aunt and people in my life who love me. And I thought I can be that person for other women. I can be the person who sees in them, and that's my superpower actually. I can see in other people what they don't see in themselves. And that's what I want to do in my coaching. That's what I do in my coaching. I help women to get in touch with their true magnificence because I believe we're all magnificent so that they can live life on their terms. And that's my story.
That is a beautiful story, and
Thank you.
and yes, and this we have that calling. In fact, that is goes inside of us. That it is to help others, and but you did a shift in there because you start loving yourself again, and self love. It is one of the biggest changes that we
Mm-hmm.
created in all of us,
Yeah.
and that's what you work with people, right? To
Mm-hmm.
learn how to love themselves again.
Yeah.
And many of them, many of women I work more with women than men, so I see that in the women there's that lack of self-love
Yeah.
and self-trust in themselves, and of course that
Mm.
comes with not believing in themselves, and it comes with a bunch of things, and that's where they get stuck. How do you
Yeah.
work with them?
Well, the biggest thing is that we feel we have to be perfect. As humans, we feel we have to be perfect, right? We're always sort of taught that that's not right. You have to get 10 out of 10. Or I know a lot of high achievers, especially, which is why I do imposter syndrome, as an area I work with, is because high achievers have high standards, so they think they have to achieve a high standard. And if they don't, they're not good enough. And the three kind of fears are not being good enough, not being lovable, and not belonging. Right. So those are the things that work within each of us. So getting to women to realize that they are enough, because no one is perfect. Right. So some of the things I start off with, firstly I say, no, beg your pardon. Firstly, I say, listen to how you talk to yourself. Because I used to be the person that say, oh God, I'm an idiot. If I made a mistake, I'd say, gee, I'm an idiot. We talk so badly to ourselves, right? And that's a really good way to stop. Think about what are you saying to yourself and stop doing that, right? Because the more negative things you say about yourself, the more negatively you feel about yourself. So I get women to start looking at how they're talking to themselves. Then I get them to look at what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. The strengths are something you learn, right? I'm a very good writer. That's my other superpower, because I've learned some good writing skills, right? And I've been practicing all my life. And so writing is a superpower of mine. But if writing wasn't, I could learn how to write. I could take classes, or I could do exercises or whatever. So our strengths are things that we learn. They're knowledge, skills, and attitudes, and they can be learned, right? So I get the women to look at their strengths and then look at their weaknesses and realize, well, if your strength, like writing, is something that you've learned along the way, well, your weakness for me is tech. I can learn tech as well. And even if it might not ever be a strength or a superpower, at least it won't be a weakness anymore. So I get women to look at, what are you good at? What are you not good at? How can we change it? Then I get women to look at, what are your beliefs about yourself? Because we have so many negative beliefs about ourselves. And then say, where did that belief come from? Is that your belief, or is that someone else's belief? And then we shoot that down.
And that goes with the victim mentality, because the victim mentality is always basically what it means: you're giving the power to someone else.
Yeah.
They did that to me. They yell at me. They do this. So that
Mhm.
means that you're the victim and there's a perpetrator in the story that you're telling to yourself. And that's what I see the majority of the women or humans in reality,
Yeah.
when they're playing that role, that being the victim, they don't want to know, they don't want to be honest enough with themselves to realize what they're doing wrong. Or
Because
even
it's scary.
they can go to a therapist or a coach like us and not be honest enough,
Yeah.
because they still want to people feel sorry for them instead of getting out of that mentality. So how do you work with people that they don't want to open themselves, but they do want to change, but sometimes they're stuck in there, they're
Yeah.
here with you, but they don't want to be honest enough to say what is
A-
really happening.
And that's it. Because basically, I actually do an application process. And if you're not ready to take responsibility for yourself and for your actions and your results, then I can't do it for you. You know, as they say, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So
Yeah.
the first thing is that, the person needs to want to help themselves. They need to be strong enough to face all their demons, to face all their secrets, all the scary bits they don't want to show to the world. Because we wear masks because we want to show that, I've got it all together. Oh my God, even if I'm not perfect, I'm just amazing in what I can do. We don't want to own our vulnerabilities and our faults. So this is why I really love them to look at their weaknesses as well as their negative beliefs. And then we get to change that. The other thing too is, people who work with me need to trust me. And basically they do. That's why they do choose to work with me. And part of when you get to know me and decide to work with me, you know that no matter what you tell me, I'm not going away. I'm there for you. If you're going to be showing up for yourself, I'm going to be showing up for you 10 times more. As long as you're there, I'm there holding your hand. I'm there, wiping your tears. I'm there, giving you a hug. I'm there with you all the way. You're not going to do this alone. I've got you.
Yeah.
Because when we know that we have someone beside us, we can go on those really hard roads much easier.
That's because part of being scared, that is a limitation. It is I'm too scared to go there by myself, so I don't go. But having a coach, it helps a lot because then they go together to the scary space that they've been not wanted to touch, not wanted to revisit. Let's put it like that. And that goes again with the words that they're talking to themselves. No,
Yeah.
that's too scary. No, I'm not good enough. No, I'm, and all these stories that we're telling to ourselves.
Mhm.
So, how the words in reality can be in the transformation for good or for bad.
Well, I would say the most important two words in any language is I am. Because anything that comes after I am is your identity. So I am Alyson. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I'm a coach. And that is my identity. If I say, I lack confidence, I am someone who's unconfident, well, that's my identity. If I say I am a loser, that's my identity. So
Yeah.
really being mindful of what comes after I am is something, again, I make my clients aware of. In fact, I'm the kind of person, if I meet you in the street or anywhere, in the supermarket queue, in the line in the supermarket, I'll say, do you mind if I share something with you, right? And people say, yeah, go ahead. And then I would say, I just noticed you said that. I'd love if you would consider maybe changing that for this reason, right? And more, I've never come across someone who said, no, you can't share, or no, that's nonsense, or how dare you? Because I come from a place of love and wanting to help, and people get that, right? And so this is why I say, be mindful of what you say after I am, because you are now owning that as part of you. Do you really want to be that person or that element? And if you don't say it. I am nervous before I give a talk. Let's put that aside. I am feeling nervous is different because when I'm feeling, the feeling is moving on, right? But if I am nervous, then that's who I am, that I'm stuck in being nervous. So that's another way where the language can help.
But at the same time, this is not about hiding the emotions that we are feeling. It is about making surface
Yeah,
the emotions that we're feeling. Because I
yeah,
believe that's one of the biggest things that I see more in our community, in spiritual community, is like, no, in a way, hide those emotions. Don't feel anger, don't feel sadness, don't feel that. But you're still feeling it. So,
yeah. No,
how,
I don't think that's very helpful because I said what you're doing is you're shoving it under the carpet and eventually you're going to trip over the carpet because you've got this big pile of stuff that you've shoved under. So I always say you have to honor your feelings. So
yes,
just acknowledge it. Okay, so I'm feeling anger. Why am I feeling anger? Because my husband yelled at me this morning. Okay. Was that right? No, he shouldn't have yelled at me. It wasn't anything that I did wrong. He was just in a hurry and he was angry at me, so he yelled at me. I'm just going to let that move through me. And if maybe I'm going to say, you know what? When he comes home, I'm going to say, hey, I really didn't appreciate you yelling at me this morning, but it wasn't my fault, right? If need be, I'll have that conversation. But in the meantime, I'm just going to feel the anger that I deserve to feel that anger because he was quite unfair to me. And then I'm going to let it go. And I'm now going to take it on in a very um, constructive conversation in the evening just to make our relationship better, right? But for now, I'm not carrying the anger. I've let that go. And I've decided to do something about it. Now, instead, I'm going to put myself in a position of, okay, I understand he was feeling angry because, or he got angry with me because, he was in a hurry, right? So I'm now understanding where my feeling is coming from. I'm also putting myself in a position of understanding the other person who made me angry. I'm not making it right or wrong. I'm saying this is it. I'm kind of like an observer watching what's happening, right? And because of who I am as a person, we will have that conversation, he and I, tonight. And again, I will do it in a way that still keeps the relationship healthy because that's part of who we are as our relationship. But in terms of the feeling, I'm now letting that feeling wash through me. I've kind of explained it to myself and I've come to terms with what I'm going to do as a result of it. Now, it might even see if you take something like nervous. I'm feeling nervous because I've got a talk, I've got a podcast with Monica, right? So, okay, so I'm feeling nervous and that's understandable as opposed to I am nervous, right? But so I just want to let the nerves go out of me. And what I'm going to do when I get on with Monica, we're going to have a bit of a chat. I'm going to say, hey, Monica, before we start recording, can we just have a bit of a chat because I'm feeling a bit nervous? And then we might just have a chat. And I say, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's go. And then I let the nervousness go out of my body, and then we have a discussion. Does that make sense?
that makes sense. It is basically what you're saying. It is, we are not the emotion that we're feeling. the emotion is separate from us, that we're deciding to put it on or not. That
Mhm.
goes with nerves, that goes with anger, that depression, or whatever. Unless we say, I am depressed, I am angry, then you're putting it on like a suit. So that's what we have to be very aware. Basically, what you're saying, and what you were saying that you are. Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, if you're a coach, a healer, energy worker, in any of those branches, maybe this is for you. Because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid, or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients, that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. So yes, and the majority of the human beings, we do that. It is just an old costume. It's part of the program. It's part of the
Yeah.
system. Input the emotions on us. And even someone that had a terrible day at their job, and they can come home and they can be yelling at you and so forth, and make you feel guilty and shame or whatever, and they were just at home, but they were just trying to liberate that emotions with someone else. The emotions are not the person that it is, or
Yeah.
the person that it was receiving, or the person that it was giving. It's just emotions that they were not regulated, let's put it like
That's
that,
right.
or not sent it to whatever the person this would be. And that's
Okay.
why we don't put attention the majority of the times as human beings.
Yeah.
We're
I
just,
agree.
and that goes back to at the same time to the values, because the values are the ones that are very important. Can you explain a little bit more about the values?
Sure. So values are the core, the important things, the things in life that are important to us, right? So it might be things like family, it might be things like freedom. For me, it's respect and honesty and integrity. So the things, values are our decision making filter. They are the compass through which we kind of make our decisions. We decide to take this job or that job based on our values, right? And it might be this job pays more. So that's why I want it, because now my value is to make money for my family because I've got kids, right? It might be later on in my life, or when I'm single without kids, I'm taking this job. It doesn't pay as much, but it is more aligned with the things that I want, that I enjoy. Or it might be with a company that I really, value their values. Now I'm just gonna say, so my son actually knocked back a job with Amazon. Amazon headhunted him, but he didn't want the job because he didn't like their values, right?
Yeah.
Because the way they treat their staff. So he didn't want the job. And I was so proud of him that he did that, because it was good money. They actually, headhunted him, And he decided, no, that wasn't the kind of value system he wanted. So he gave up that opportunity for a good salary. So values, as I say, are very much the things by which we make our decisions. Because if it's not aligned with like trust or respect or whatever it might be, then we don't do that. So one of the instances in my own life, when my same son, I've only got one son, two kids, one daughter, one son. He was about 15, and I was brought up very much, to have good manners and to speak to your elders in a respectful way and whatever. And even though, I kind of changed with the times, still good manners and respect for your parents is important. So when he was about 15, he was really rude to me, and I can't remember why. And I just said to him, Tristan, I'm doing nothing more for you till you apologize to me. Now, obviously, if I was cooking dinner for the family, I was going to cook for him. But what I meant was the extra stuff. Now, luckily for him, his father made him lunch for schools. His father did the ironing, so that was good. He was taken care of in that way. And he used to take the bus to and from school. In fact, 3 buses from where we lived because we were out of town. But when my husband was away, and my son had to stay at school for football training or go to football games on the weekend, he needed someone to drive him. When my husband was there, fine. His dad used to take him, and I used to go with my daughter to netball. But when his father wasn't there, he needed me to take him. Now, I can't remember when, but at some time he did apologize, right? And I thought, okay, I realized I used to be a teacher of teenagers as well. And I realized with teenagers that you sometimes have to take less than what you want as long as they're giving you something. So he apologized, and I just asked for an apology. I didn't need a perfect apology. So I took it and said, okay, fair enough. So we got things back on track. And then he's now 32 nearly, and we have the most beautiful relationship. And I pretty much believe that that's because when he was 16 or 15, whatever, I told him, you have to treat me with respect. I'm not taking rubbish from you. Treat me with respect. And I certainly believe that is, I don't even know if he remembers that incident, but I know that is what created the basis for us to have this good relationship.
That is so true. It is so true. Yeah, working with teenagers is a different ball.
Yeah.
The hormones, sometimes they're not even aware about how they are using the words,
Yeah.
because the hormones or things are going through them. So yes, but that goes with a lot of many of the values that we have. They're also part of the programs that we have, that we should like this should be important because it's a program that it was from our ancestors, not
Yeah.
necessarily because it was right. It's just because it was programmed to us.
Yeah.
So we have that value as very, very important when it shouldn't be that important. So how do you work with people? So I know you are an NLP practitioner like as me, but how do you remove the value that is so important for someone that it is actually damaging them because it is that value comes with a program from their
Yeah.
ancestors.
So basically, there are many ways of getting to what they value in life, and actually saying that what is important to you. And as you know, in NLP, we say what's important to you in the context of your family, what's important to you in the context of your business, and that's how we elicit their values from an NLP perspective. So having them tell me what their values are and tell me, and I love to ask them, why is that a value for you? If I feel that they're a little bit off or what they're telling me doesn't match how they behave or what they've said before, then I will explore that, right? So tell me, how does that show up in your life? And is that working for you? And if it's not working for you, do you still want to keep it? Or would you prefer to change it? Or what would you like to change it to? So just having a conversation, an open, honest discussion, because I say to my clients, I'm there for you 150%. I know that's not exactly maths, but I'm there for you, completely. I'm all in. And I want your success as much as you do. So I'm here to work with you to get that success. And I can only do that if you're honest with me and if you are willing for me to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I can be quite brutal. In fact, I was just at a meeting with some colleagues before, and we were giving feedback on what was stopping the question was, what do you see in me that is stopping me, that I don't see in myself, but is stopping me from my business being successful? So I said to her, do you really want the brutal truth? And she said, yes. I said, well, it's coming with love, just know that. So I gave her my version of the brutal truth because I thought, if nobody tells you what you're doing wrong, how can you fix it? And if
Yeah,
I really wanted to succeed in your business, I need to tell you what's stopping you from being successful in your business. So I would do that for a colleague, for a friend, for a client, because I really want what's best for you as much as you do.
I agree.
If you trust me enough that I'm going to only be coming from a space of love to support you, then I'm here for you.
That is so true. And I feel that the base of to create this change, it is in reality it is honesty, but honesty to ourselves. More to even you can lie to everybody, like I would say. You can lie to everybody, but the person that you cannot lie, it is yourself. And if you're
Absolutely.
lying to yourself, it's gonna get to a point that you know what was the truth,
Yeah.
like what you did wrong, or and that's the first step to actually change a belief or a
Mhm.
programming at the same time.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a belief and a programming?
Well, it depends because often our beliefs come from our programming. The thing with a belief is that once we have a belief, we, as Jim Quick says, you can, if you're willing to fight for your excuses, you get to keep them. So it's the same thing. People are willing to fight for their beliefs because they think that, oh my God, this is my belief, and especially if it's come from the family, they don't want to let it go because they think if I let that go, I'm being disloyal to the family. So a belief is something that it's a thought, if you like, that we have put a lot of importance on as being true.
As validation, right? You already have the validation of the family
Yeah, that's
for the,
true.
for the belief.
Yeah,
And programming is something different. For programming, it is something that you're programmed that if I do this, I receive this.
which is a kind of belief, right? So the family installs in you various beliefs, right? They might install in you that in our family we don't yell, we don't get angry, we don't throw things around. So what we do when we're angry is we withdraw,
Yeah.
right? And that was very much my mother. I didn't realize till I was quite old, and my sister put a word on it. She said it, and I love my mum, don't get me wrong, even though she's not here. She sort of said that, mum was passive aggressive. And I thought, oh my God, she is. And I actually learned that from my mother. I role modeled it. And I did that in my early marriage, right? So if my husband and I had a fight, for like 3 days, I wouldn't talk to him.
Yep.
And he actually said to me, like, why do you do that? I don't know. And this is what we say. We either things are either caught, we kind of catch them, or they're taught. We're told that. So I know in some families we're told we don't do that in our family. So you go, okay, we don't do this, right? Like we don't live together in our family. You got to get married before you live with your partner, that sort of stuff. And then that becomes a belief. Now I know that's an old-fashioned belief, but those are the kinds of things that become beliefs. And then we look to live up to those beliefs, even though they might not be something we necessarily believe in ourselves, right?
Yes.
And often we will go looking for evidence for our beliefs to make our beliefs true, because especially if it came from our families, we want to be loyal to our family. So we look for evidence to support the belief, even though in our heart we might feel that that is not really what I think is true. But if I go against it, I'm going against my family. So depending on where the person is and how connected they are to the family, as opposed to how connected they are to themselves or how connected they want to be with themselves, is then you are able to look at that belief as being, is it true or is it not? Is it your belief or someone else's?
Yes. And looking when human beings we're looking for that validation. In reality, we're looking for or approval. We're looking to be loved and be accepted.
Yeah,
So how we're gonna go against our family is gonna stop loving us or gonna stop accepting us, and that is another monster, very scary. So we don't go against that, even if we
mhm,
know that is not the right way to do things. That goes with us,
yeah.
is with us. So the people pleaser is gonna be showing up all the time in there. Alison, I know you are gonna have a program soon. So can you please let us know a little bit more about your program?
Oh, thank you. So, yes, you talked about my best method. My best method is belief, empowerment through self love to thrive and to transform, to thrive. So I really believe that when we sort of have a strong belief in ourselves, and that comes from our values, when you have your values as the basis of everything you do, you can then, connect that to your boundaries so you can have strong boundaries. And when you stand up for yourself, you feel good about yourself. So I'm really about making people feel good about themselves. And my new program is called the Self-Claimed Woman. And this is about women who are unseen, unheard, and unvalued all through their lives. And they now realize that they deserve more, right? So I want them to realize that their beliefs are what they choose to believe. Whatever their family said, they don't have to hang on to it. If it doesn't serve you, let it go. And just letting it go doesn't mean you're being disloyal to your family. You can still love your family without having to do everything they tell you to do, right? And then the empowerment comes from living life on your terms. So the self-claimed woman has 3 stages. The first one is excavate. We go into all our programming, all the things that have held us back, everything that we were told when we were kids that we took on board. Your 3rd grade teacher said you're a loser, you'll never amount to anything. So we go through life thinking that. Your first boyfriend said you're fat and ugly, so you think you're fat and ugly even though you're not. We undo all of that kind of stuff, right? And NLP is a beautiful way to do that. Then we go into what I call our merge element. And then we start looking at what kind of tools do we need to start emerging into our full self. And then the last one is the embody. Who do I want to embody for this identity I want to be? I am a self-claimed woman. I stand tall in my beliefs of who I am, what I think of the world. And I know I'm not perfect. I know that I have my flaws, and I'm completely okay with that because I'm human. And I'm true to me, and I let you be true to you. I don't judge you, and I don't judge me. We just live each other. We each live our lives on our own terms. And it's a 12-week program. It's one-on-one coaching. And not just because I'm a teacher, I'm not sure which came first. I always like to know why something is the case. And if I know why, then I can know how to address it. So the programming, I actually look at why we are, how do we become programmed? And there's a psychologist called Morris Massey. So I use his model of developmental stages to explain how we have developed to think and believe all these things, despite in ourselves we might feel differently. So I use a lot of methodologies that are out there, and I use that as the basis for my methods. As you said, I'm NLP trained, I'm emotional fitness trained, I've got lots of modalities, and I pick and choose each of these to bring to the client what works for them. And that's my 12-week program, whereby at the end of this, women are able to go through all the stuff that has held them back, work through it. So we're not sweeping it under the carpet. We're actually getting rid of it from the carpet, under the carpet. We're putting it in the garbage and sending the garbage away. And then we're emerging as the beautiful butterflies that we are.
I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. The dryness in here. It is a beautiful program. Right now she's running her 5 days experience, and I can tell you I just went to one. It made me realize so many things that I was needing to change again. So it's always very helpful when you're open to see the things that you have to change, the things that you don't realize that you have a program and you have a limitation. You're gonna continue your life with that, and if you really wanted to become free and liberated from all those limiting beliefs that we all have, because that's part of being human, the only way it is if we do the inner work. And this is one of the best ways to do the inner work in this kind of classes. So I highly recommend you, Alyson, for taking this class. And when are you starting?
Well, I have because it's a one-on-one program. It's kind of anytime someone wants to start, we can start.
Perfect.
So yeah, I'm not kind of launching a group program at the moment. That will come later on. At the moment, I love doing one-on-one because I really get to feel that connection with my client. I'm able to give them exactly what they want, and I know that together we're going to get them to, to the place they want to be.
That is so true. That is so true. So your links, you can see it right now here, or they're gonna be in the description of this episode for the ones that are not having the visuals, the ones that are in Spotify and so forth. The links are gonna be in the description of this episode. So like that you get to know Alyson, and she can really help you transform your life. And thank you so much, Alyson, for sharing these words with us, and helping changing the world, because we start one by one changing the world.
Absolutely. Thank you, Monica. I'm so blessed to have met you, and I'm so honored that you've invited me to be a guest on your podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you. If this episode actually helped you, you might have a friend or a family that is needing to hear this. Please share it with them, because this might be a change completely their lives. So I highly recommend you to share it with them. And if you have any questions, please don't be shy. Put it in the comments. I will read them, and I will pass it to Alyson or myself. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.